The best Harley for your first Harley and ones to stay away from. This is the 2025 edition of a series that I've been running now, I guess, since 2019. So going on 6 years. And essentially what I want to do is tell you in Harley Davidson's current lineup, what are the best motorcycles that you should be looking at and what are some ones you should stay away from. Now, while we are looking at current Harley Davidsons, I'm going to break the mold just a little bit, or kind of break what we've been doing in keeping up with the current Harley Davidsons, because there's some discrepancies here between the 24s and the 25s, and there's a bike that they've gotten rid of that I think is amongst one of the best Harleys you can buy. Now, I'm talking to probably new riders, maybe, and people that have been riding a lot longer than I have, right? And so we're covering a wide range of motorcycles, and that's why I want to stick with pretty much just the current Harley Davidsons. Of course, you may agree or disagree with my opinion on new Harleys. Which ones do you think are the best? Leave your opinion down below. Let's go and jump right in. So right off the rip, let me cover one that will not take much time at all, that you should not buy. That is the live wire. Of course, this is kind of low-hanging fruit, to be totally honest with you, and I know it's kind of, started its own thing, or they spun it off from Harley, but let's just be honest, it's still a part of Harley Davidson. But I can't think of a single reason that you would want to buy this bike over any of their combustion engines one, especially the one I'm about to tell you that I think is a better option. Now, if you're looking for a commuter, bike night type of motorcycle, this would be the reason that you would look at them. But you're talking about a bike when it first came out at $30,000. I don't think most people realize that. They've since dropped them to like $22,000, but let's just be honest, man, it's just a ton of money for something that you're not going to get the resale value out of. Your range is going to be 80, 100 miles, maybe 120. The infrastructure is not there. I mean, it's not even there to meet the car demand, much less the motorcycle demand. So if you're planning on taking any kind of trips, I don't know that people would be buying this bike for that. Surely there's somebody out there that's going to attempt this, if they haven't already, to cross the country in a live wire or something. But the point is, for most people, I just don't see this as a reasonable motorcycle. Even the cheaper options, I don't understand why anybody would want to buy this particular bike. I've joked now for a couple years that this is simply a tax write-off for Harley. And while I appreciate that they were trying something different, electric, in my opinion, is not even close to taking over combustion engines, especially in the Harley Davidson world. It doesn't have to fit the image entirely to be a Harley Davidson, because I'm going to show you some here that actually don't, that I think are good options, but this one is just so far out there, too expensive, resale value sucks, would stay away from these. But here's one I would actually consider. If you're looking for a commuter, bike night, maybe you are a newer rider, this could be an okay option for you if you know your limits, but the Nightster. Now, I would not buy a 24 Nightster. Why? Well, they're thousands more, right? Why would you do that? I mean, they literally dropped the price to under $10,000 to be more competitive. I would never buy a 24 model, only buy the 25s, because again, they've dropped the price on them. Now, this is a great motorcycle for a couple different reasons. In my opinion, it retains, out of the entire Sportster lineup, the Nightster and the Nightster Special retain a lot of what made the Sportster lineup good while pushing it into the future. So you have a liquid-cooled motor, 975, you're at 91 horsepower, right? So you're not going to be winning any land speed records with any of these bikes, to be totally honest with you, but that's not really the point. You still get the styling, you get the LEDs. With the Special, you get even a little mini fairing. It just has that iconic kind of Sportster look. And you actually get ride modes with these motorcycles as well. To me, this is a much better buy, a cheaper buy, and one that fits the Harley Davidson mold. You're going to get that Harley spirit, I think, more with this motorcycle than you ever would a live wire. And I don't know if I mentioned this. Again, you're going to save a lot of money going this route, and you're going to get a super fun bike. So commuter, bike night, short rides, that kind of stuff. The Nightster, in my opinion, is definitely one you should look at, but only the 2025s. Now here's a 2025 you should not buy from Harley Davidson. That's the new Rodent Street Glide. I'll be honest with you, these bikes give you a lot of new technology. They give you all of the RDRS features: cornering, traction control, ABS, tire pressure monitoring, drag torque control, new 12-inch screen, new fairing, new lighting, new bags, new 117. These things are finally over 100 horsepower, and they are beautiful machines, but they went up on the price in 2025 by $2,000. Why would you ever buy this motorcycle when you can buy a 2024 that plenty of dealers still have for at least $2,000 less, if not more, depending on the dealer's situation and how badly they want to move that bike? Now, the new 23s that are still on some of these dealer lots, you can get even cheaper. But the 24s, I think, offer, if you like the styling, I think they offer a lot of advantages over what the 23s do. Now, of course, they've had a year to kind of work out the bugs, so you're not going to be dealing with some of the issues that I talked about in a video, every issue I had with the new 24 Road Glide when I bought mine. So all of that stuff has been, worked out, and they've kind of figured out those bugs. But you still just go back 1 year and you get pretty much a brand new motorcycle. Actually, a lot of these are brand new, and you're going to save $2,000 off the rip with everything I just talked about, all of the latest and greatest from Harley Davidson and their baggers. If you're going to buy a new bagger from Harley, in my opinion, buy the 24, don't buy the 25s. I think that's kind of part of their plan too, because they've seen the influx of inventory. I talked about this issue and how they're getting sued over this. I think that was part of the plan, to try to get rid of some of these 24s. But in my opinion, I would take advantage of that. If you're in a position to buy a Harley Davidson and you want a bagger, the new Road Glide is freaking fantastic. The new Street Glide is amazing. Save yourself some money, get all the new tech, and get a freaking awesome motorcycle. But it's kind of flipped with the Lowrider S. Now, they revamped the Softail lineup this year. So you have the new 117 high output, you have new LEDs, and now you have ride modes on these bikes. If you're looking for a Softail with the big engine, you're doing shorter rides maybe, around town, bike nights, riding with your friends, the Lowrider S is a pretty good motorcycle. Coming in right around 20 grand, you're gonna get that iconic Harley styling. You're gonna get a decent sized tank, so your range is gonna be good. To me, it is a really good looking motorcycle, but I would not be buying a 24, because in 25, they give you the high output, which is 114 horsepower now instead of 104, I believe, or 105 in 2024 model. So if you're gonna buy a Lowrider S, definitely buy the 25s. But in my opinion, the Lowrider ST is a better buy for a couple of obvious reasons. The fairing, right? This fairing actually does a really nice job at diverting the wind around you. Now, in my opinion, it's not gonna do as good as like a road or street glide, but it still does a pretty good job. It's not like one of those little mini fairings that basically don't do a lot of anything to kind of counter the wind and keep you from fatiguing so quick. So it's much better than that. You got a decent windshield on this, and it's going to be a lot easier to add your speakers. That Rockford Fosgate actually makes an insert for that, and aftermarket companies I'm sure make them too, but it's going to be much easier to do that, much cleaner install on the ST as well. Now they are a little bit more expensive, and when I say a little, it's like 4 grand. So it's not cheap by any means, but you also get the clamshell style bags. So if you're doing any kind of touring on this bike, in my opinion, you're already ahead of the game. You get kind of the best of both worlds. You get a lighter motorcycle than what you'll find on the touring machines, and yet you still have all of the safety features that they've added on the touring machines. Cornering ABS, drag torque control, tire pressure monitoring, all that kind of stuff already included. With the bags, with the fairing, the only caveat I would say with this motorcycle, in my opinion, is adding the relocation kit for the foot pegs. I actually had a viewer drop his motorcycle off so I could review it. This was, I think, last year, which is pretty freaking awesome. But anyways, when I rode it, that was one of the things I didn't like. I felt kind of cramped on the bike, and I'm not tall by any means. And so he ordered one of the relocation kits. I think it moves the pegs like 5 or 6 inches forward, and it made all of the difference. And so that is something I would definitely invest in with these motorcycles. But aside from that, you do the exhaust, maybe do the speakers if that's something that you want. This bike is set up and ready to go. It's in my opinion, a better value if touring is something that you're going to be considering. Maybe not right now, but even down the road. I want to throw a wild card in here. Even though they've gotten rid of the Fat Bob, in my opinion, if you're looking for a fun Softail that's different in styling from most of the other Harleys, but still gives you that kind of Harley Davidson feeling, 114 engine, drag bars, aggressive type of styling. I love the Fat Bob. I think it's a fantastic motorcycle. They should have added a bigger tank to this bike, in my opinion, to give you better range, but overall, the bike is just awesome. Now there's some changes I would make to it if I were to ever buy one, but you can get these at a pretty decent cost, and like I said, they look different enough than what you'll find on traditional Harleys, but they still give you that sound and some of that look, especially in the tank and stuff. They're a fantastic motorcycle. They're not in current production right now, but definitely one to consider if you want a Softail that's a little bit different than what you'll find with some of the others. And that leads us to our last motorcycles, which is probably the most controversial, but I'm gonna stand by it because I honestly believe that the Harley Heritage is one of the best motorcycles that Harley Davidson makes. And I would choose this over the Road King Special. If you add a windshield to a Road King Special, you're talking about a pretty freaking awesome bike. You get the hard bags, you get the 117, but it's not the high output, so you're gonna be at like 94 horsepower, but you just get a super iconic bike. The handlebars straight from the factory, the seating position is all pretty comfortable, but the Heritage is just more comfortable. It's 98 horsepower, so again, that one doesn't have the high output 117, but there's a couple of things here. First of all, the styling. I absolutely love it. And now they have the two-tone Whiskey Fire and Vivid Black that just looks freaking amazing. Detachable windshield, the auxiliary lighting up front. This has some of the best lighting on any Harley Davidson, period. All LEDs all the way around, finally. You do get the leather wrapped studded bags. They're lockable. They're not going to be as secure as what you'll find on the Road King, but they do come with it. Passenger setup, of course, studded seat, super iconic. I just love everything about this motorcycle. Call me an old man if you want. Even the wire wheels, everything about it is just freaking aesthetically incredible, man. I love this bike so much. And it's probably the most comfortable when it comes to seating position, handlebars, floorboard position. I'm 5'7", by the way. I find this bike to be the most comfortable Harley Davidson out there. And it's a little bit lighter than what you'll find on the big baggers, right? And so you get a little bit more nimble feeling with it, and it can do pretty much everything that those other bikes can. And I think it outclasses the Road King Special just a little bit. The classic fenders, everything about this bike, I just absolutely love it. And I think it's one of the best. And it comes in a little bit cheaper than the Road King Special. So there's that too. But overall, I think it is one of the best motorcycles that Harley Davidson makes. Now, there's some pretty obvious ones here that will, you know, if you're looking to dual sporting, Pan America, fantastic motorcycle, liquid cooled, 150 horsepower, just pretty awesome bike actually. When it comes to comfort and capabilities, the Pan America is one, if you're open to pretty much anything, I would say ride that bike because you might be surprised. If you like the styling, it's actually pretty freaking awesome and super capable. And then of course, if you have more money to burn, the CVOs are nice. If you want to go all out, you could buy a double R, right? $110,000. You could buy a Ford Raptor. Well, if dealers charged MSRP, you could buy a Raptor R, but they don't, so never mind on that. But anyways, if you want that exclusivity and you have Keanu Reeves type of money, then yeah, you could buy the double R. Overall though, I think when it comes to the base motorcycles, these are the best of the best. And there's also the ones here that I don't think you should buy. Now, of course, I want to hear your opinion, whatever that might be. Leave that down below. If you like what I do, consider subscribing. See you in the next one. And as always, holding down.